Woof! Welcome to 2025 and Two Dogs Digs for our New Year's Resell-utions show. Thanks to everybody who's joining us at our new time at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Western time, Pacific time. We changed our time this year to accommodate hopefully a lot more people from the West Coast joining us, as opposed to having them have to see us starting at 5 o'clock. For some of our lives. So it was a request we had a few times last year. So thank you so much for everybody who's joining us a little later. And I'm sure everybody will get used to this time. Today, we are going to chat about sort of the end of 2024, some of the things that we noticed, a couple of things to think about for 2025, especially from the sales perspective and reporting perspectives. And as well, talk about a few things that are some things that we think are best to avoid or things to watch out for on the bad side, and a couple of things to watch out for on the good side for 2025 for your thrifting purchase pleasure per se. And of course, it's me. I'm new and improved. Well, not necessarily, but and joining me is my better half, who
I never change.
Never changes. Never. Which
I'm
is
like the weather at the Antarctic, the North Pole.
We actually just
cold and asleep.
He had the poor boy actually had to do a sleep test last night for sleep apnea, and it was
a sleep clinic.
Yeah, it was not good.
No, I would not recommend.
He barely slept. So he got home at like 6:30 in the morning from barely sleeping. He said that, what did you say? At some point, the guy walked into you at like midnight and said, "You haven't gotten to sleep yet."
It was 2:45 in the morning. He opened the door, put his hands and legs akimbo, or hands and arms akimbo, and he said, "You're not sleeping. Turn on your side and sleep." Yo, dude, I'm not tired. Mind you, since the start of the pandemic, Craig and I have been basically shift workers. So we go to bed at 3, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Get up anytime between 10 and 3, 4 p.m. Well, no, maybe 2 p.m. at the latest, but still, our sleep cycles are gone. And
so a big hello to everybody who has joined us here. Lisa, Janet, Donna, Candace, Michael, Charmaine. Also we got Brian, Bluette, Areda. I never know if I'm pronouncing that right. Mr. Carl. Kevin is here. Lisa's here. The other Lisa. Linda, Tina, Sandy, yay, Alisa. Nellie said it. Hello. And don't forget, everybody, if you haven't already, send us, if you are in the Kennel Club, and thanks so much to everybody who is supporting us in the Kennel Club for $3 a month, $2.99 a month. There is a Facebook group now for the Kennel Club, and that's where we'll be posting videos for the Kennel Club, and that are exclusive videos, and a little more direct contact with us if you need to on things as well. All you need to do is send us a message in Facebook with your YouTube name, because they don't match a lot of times. So we actually have fun trying to match people. Hydron was great at saying you do not know anyone else named Hydron, so it's easier to find. So that's very true. We've got we're still missing about 15 or so people who are members who haven't joined. So hopefully you'll join soon. We'll be doing a new exclusive video next week on Bakelite and understanding Bakelite. And that's actually inspired by Tamara Taylor. So let's see. Donna uses a CPAP, and she did the sleep clinic.
Yes.
Tina said that they put us on a CPAP and she hated it. I know Adrian had a CPAP. Elisa says she's had an apnea test twice. Rick will find sticky bits all over your scalp and head. He did. He actually got up from a nap and he's like, my neck is
I missed a spot.
From all the sticky goo, yeah.
Like 40 minutes in the shower trying to dissolve the goo that they used to hold the electrodes against your skin. I think I got most of it.
Do we
Anyway,
send the name and the original Facebook? Yeah. So Susan, if you're Susan Van Slyke in Facebook, then I'll be able to match you up. Some people actually don't match up to their name. So as a perfect example, as a good example is, let's see, Tina with the Lake Exchange is not Tina with the Lake Exchange in Facebook. So that's all. You just have to send that again. Send me a message directly if you can to Craig Dawson, or find a way to get a hold of us. You can also get a hold of us on YouTube. So, but today we're here to talk about a few good things and a few things. Now, one of the big things that we want to talk about, and this is something that I think a lot of people need to keep in mind as we move into 2025, is sort of one of the resolutions. We're going to go through sort of our rules of resolutions. But I think one of the first ones, oh, and Greg's here. Hey, thanks for showing up, Greg. I know it's a little later. You got to get used to that. Yeah, there is actually. So there's an implant you can get that actually you can like press the CPAP.
I think there's an app too. So I know Craig would have the app and would shut it off.
I would not. No, I would not do that. How dare you think that I would do that?
Although I don't know if I have sleep apnea. Craig would
I don't think he
probably
does.
be the first to notice if I was gasping awake,
I don't think he
struggling to
does.
breathe.
I really don't think he does. So I think the first thing we thought we'd show you, actually, before we talk about the sort of the one negative thing of just taxes, is how our sales were for 2024. So hopefully, at the end of the year, we noticed when we did our last show just before Christmas, we were thinking, well, we were maybe on par, but we seemed to have a bunch of bad months, and it was sort of like I thought the whole year was probably going to end up being a depressed year because the summer seemed very slow. And I know a lot of you guys were talking about the summer seeming to be extremely slow compared to what you were used to seeing. We had a couple of weeks where we had what for us
a $75 payout.
Yeah, well under $500 a week payout was like what? Like so, and we do this part-time, we don't do it full-time. So, but it's still good money that's coming in to help us pay a lot of different things already. So, at the end of the day, we actually looked at everything and we're surprised. So this is our 2024 sales. Our sales on eBay actually were almost dead on to 2023. We're actually up 1.7% for the year. And it works out to roughly somewhere around $40,000 in sales, net sales for us, Canadian. And of that, 10% of those sales were actually done by auction. So we still are big proponents of trying auctions. So 10% of those sales were actually done by auctions, where we got good money in a lot of cases for some of those items. We also, inspired by a post that was done, I think, by Nellie, actually.
Yeah, Nellie
Rick decided to dig in and figure out. So we had 746 items sold on eBay in 697 orders. 671 of those were to the US of the 697 orders. So we advertise on .com versus .ca. But you can see the Canadians can still buy from us, but we only sold to 13 people in Canada. We did do every state but Wyoming. Hey, Marianne.
I don't know what's wrong with those cattle guys.
23 were repeat buyers of all sorts of different things. And at least 20 we know were to mail forwarders. And sometimes, the reason I mention that is sometimes people are a little scared about seeing an address that kind of looks strange. A lot of times they're in Utah and like other places, but the address looks strange, and you get directions sometimes from saying, please write this number in big letters on the outside. Those are mail forwarders usually from Asian countries, so China, Japan, where people actually send bunches of stuff there, and then they get packed up, kind of like eBay does with its international stuff, and ship it over in a bulk. But we had over 20 of those, and they actually were good money too. We had. Oh, Nellie had one in Wyoming.
Yay!
You have our shipping address as a USA address. Yes, that's also true. We do have our shipping address as a USA address. So that may affect some people from Canada. But on Etsy, we still did the same. 90% of our sales on Etsy were to the US and beyond. Only about 10% of our sales were in Canada on Etsy. So it's interesting that we saw that. Now, I did see Sandy said she had the best Q4 since 2018. Excellent. That's really cool. And you can see the rest of ours: 13 to Canada, 3 to Australia, one directly to Hong Kong, 1 directly to Japan, 2 to Sweden.
To be fair, Craig, we haven't really been listing as much as you would like. I know that our listing activities for 2024 were somewhat reduced compared to 2023.
Yes,
The
we
one
did
thing
actually
that
have
we
less
were
night.
doing last year, which our goal at the beginning of 2024 was to focus on getting our average selling price higher. Going from an $18.50 or $19 average selling price to a $40 or $50 average selling price. So that was one of our goals, and I think we achieved that goal by even though we listed fewer things, they were at higher values, so consequently we made more.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. I think right now we have about 750 items listed on eBay.
Yep.
And we have a little over 100 and some odd items, 120, I think, listed on Etsy right now. But we also did, our sales on Etsy doubled versus last year. And one of the reasons that our sales doubled is because of the use of that crosslist magic tool that we actually we would just take stuff, and every couple of days I'd go and pop one over to Etsy that was not sold on eBay or things along those lines. And as we did that, our sales increased. We had like some bigger item sales over there too, so some higher dollar volume. And I'll give you a perfect example. There's something that we had on eBay for $150, and I couldn't sell it. It's a sculpture that I couldn't sell, and I was trying to sell it, and I was trying to sell it, and we'll talk about that pink thing a little later on in the show that people are asking the question about. But yeah, we will talk about that later on in the show. So I forgot what I was saying now.
The statue on Etsy.
Oh yeah, so it was $150, $175 on eBay. I had tons of watchers. I sent out offers, no buyers. I put it on Etsy using crossless magic, and in a week, I listed it at $275 and I had a $225 offer on it, and I sold it.
Now, which one was this? Remind me.
The lifeguard.
Ah, yes.
Right. And so it was, but that crossless magic, again, it's so easy. I'm going to do a couple of new updated versions of the crossless magic again. If you aren't using it, then you really should take a look at trying it. It is 7 days for free. It's $9.99 a month, which you can get 3 months for 50% off. So for $5 US, and it's to me, it's a godsend. The only thing it doesn't do is remove the item
from the other platforms that it's.
So that's the only thing you have to make sure of, is that you write when you're wherever you're keeping it, that you say it's cross-listed, and then you know to pull it off. There are some others that do that, will do the removal, but a couple of things. One, a lot of them have problems working with Canadian, so they can't work well with Etsy Canada. And a number of them also they're like $29 a month. They're like 3 times the price. And I also find that I see people saying that half of them miss pulling the other item off. So that's one of the challenges to look at. But again, so that's one of the, and then our whatnot sales. This is the interesting thing, is we sold 746 items in 697 orders on eBay. We sold over 800 items on whatnot in a whole lot of less shows. We made, I think our thing this year, we were close to almost $5,000 in sales on whatnot. Yeah. And we've been taking breaks all the time. So when you get consistent, you can make good money on that. But we had one show that made, I think, over $1,500, Rick, didn't we? We had one show that was a $1,500 show in 4 hours. So that's one thing to really consider thinking about as well. Then our max sold as well. We had averaged about $1,000 a month on that. So overall, we did okay. As I say, I thought our numbers would be down, but our numbers overall are actually up. And so this year we're going to try and build that a little bit higher than we did. Brian just cross-listed 3 items from Marketplace to eBay. Yeah, and
Yay.
that's the other thing is when you use it, the nice thing is you can use it on other things. Again, this is my cheat. I actually found something that was somebody else's listing, and I cross-listed their listing, to build my draft listing. So it's like the sell similar on Etsy. And I've done the same with Facebook Marketplace too. And I'm trying to do that more, moving from Facebook Marketplace and popping something up or popping something onto Facebook Marketplace. At least I don't work well with Canadians. Louette says, Crosslist made a big difference. Yay, good. I'm glad to see that. So now that's the good thing. Now, here's the thing that I want to talk to you that's not necessarily good, but again, all US and Canadian people have to keep this in mind now. There are reporting, online sales is going to start reporting in Canada for sure as of 2025. Etsy may have done it for 2024, but eBay is instigating it for 2025. And in the US, PayPal and whatnot, all of the eBay, all of the different companies that you do selling through are going to start reporting your sales, reporting the online sales from the property. So let me just show you. And this is a US thing. This is PayPal US, just so you can see. So what PayPal US is actually doing, there we go, is reporting sales if you are in the US or Canada. They will be doing that. For 2025, if you have more than $2,500 US in gross sales from goods and services in the year, they will be sending that to the IRS. And then, strangely enough, it goes down in 2026. And I know that there was fights from people like eBay to try and say, get this lower. And it becomes a challenge as well, because a number of people, when they're looking at doing stuff, that's why people ask for payment through PayPal. If you're doing something on a Facebook Marketplace, that payment to be given through friends and family, which gives no service guarantees or no protection. So, but people don't want to sell. You'll find that in Facebook groups. People say, I'll sell, but I want it by Venmo, which I'm not as trustworthy with, or I want it by PayPal, but I only do friends and family. So you got to kind of watch that thing. Tina said, with the US government can't make up their mind, but you have an LLC, so reporting everything anyway. Now, the thing is, Tina, in Canada, we never had to think about this, but take a look at this. This is on eBay right now. As a Canadian resident, when you sell over $2,800 within a calendar year, eBay is now responsible for reporting that to the CRA. So this applies to Etsy as well. There's the Etsy page. Over 30 transactions or $2,800 in a year, that becomes something that will be reported for to the CRA. So just keep in mind that as you move into 2026, 2025, that you're going to have to think about this. And as a business, you should think about this as a business, because again, there's lots and lots of things that you can write off when you look at this as a business. So when you are looking at this as a business, the investment in your item is a write-off. The gas to go and shop can be a write-off. The room in your house where you store all this can be a write-off. All of these things can be write-offs against your business. So people are like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to report. But there's so much extra benefit that you can get by looking at something like this if it is being reported.
Well, the other thing to remember is that on Etsy, if you have free shipping on your items, which bumps up your listings in the search results, those numbers will not be reflected in the reporting to CRA. The CRA is going to get the total sales volume. So if you pay the shipping, or what you pay for shipping can be deducted. So talk to your accountant about how to set up your tracking so that you know what you're reporting on your taxes.
Yeah. So, and like the most easy way that we end up doing it, just as a quick sort of summary, is Rick actually has an Excel chart, the Google sheet, that literally this is how much money we spend on shipping when we buy postage. So for Etsy, we're buying postage outside of Etsy. And so there's a whole list that this is all the postage. So we can say at the end of the year, we spent $1,257.36 on shipping on Etsy, which becomes a deduction from our sales on Etsy. So just again, another thing to keep in mind. So now I thought before we go into some of our pros and cons of what we thought we'd do, we think we should talk about what we need to look at. But before that, I think I'm going to need your help on something. So, I have stuff. No, it's not sports. I have every once in a while people post about things they want to know about them, and we have a group. I'm going to ask you guys because I love it. I put this post on. I got to show you this post if I can add this into here. So I have this post that I went in and I wanted to know what the heck this was. So I got this. I don't even remember where, Ricker, I got it, but we found it in a box and it was like, okay, what is this? I need to figure out what it is. So I was sure that it was a kite winder, right? I thought this is where you put the string on the kite. Rick said, no, it's a wool winder. Well, I thought there's only one place to have something like that answered, and that is on Facebook. So I go to a group of 50,000 people to the help us settle an argument. Wait, hold on. Is this a wool winder or a kite winder? And this is one of the things, I mean, it's frustrating, but this is what I love. This is the answers that I get. Yep, it's an early fishing reel. Wait, I'll view all the comments. This is what I get a kick out of. Show all the comments. What? It's a trolling rig. It's not a wool winder. It's a fishing dryer. It's not for yarn. It's fishing line. It's a kite winder. It's a fishing line. It's for my kite. It's for a yarn. It's for a fishing reel. It's like every single person who answered the question could not figure out. It's like I got nowhere further with this. With like asking people about it. It's like every other answer was a different answer. So I still don't know what this is. So I think I'm going to put it in as a kite yarn fishing winder on eBay. And because I Google image it and I can't find one of these at all. Your vote's fishing? Yeah, I know. At least it goes with a spinning wheel and to make yarn. See it, like even you guys, you're all over the place. Like,
wait, let me grab my sheep.
But don't get wound up. I got it. So yeah, it's just one of those challenges.
That was like $2 at that sale that we went to in December.
Oh, was that from that same
where all the
shop?
Christmas things were? That was on the upper floor.
Oh, okay.
Beside the two little Christmas
tree
things.
That was a craft shop. So, but why would they have a fishing reel? I don't know.
I think that might go well with the wool sign, the 3 bags full sign.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say, Hydron says, I track all my expenses on a custom spreadsheet. Creating it was a pain, but now it's easy. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people, that first year or the first time you're going to create that sheet, it can become a real pain in the ass. But once you get it going, it's kind of much easier to try and do. So
yeah, our consolidated spreadsheet, I think, has 22 tabs on it now.
Yeah. So
massaging.
Which category will I put it? I haven't figured that one out yet. I don't know. Snow White pricked her finger on it. Possibly, but I have no idea. I wish I could figure it out. I'm not going to put too much time and effort into it. So, but now I thought I'd go on to what we wanted to take you through, which is our sort of our resell-utions. So at this time of year, I think there's something that everybody should be doing. Like all you guys should be looking at doing. And so we made a list, and this is our list of things that we want you to think about when it comes to your year. Now, everybody in the Kennel Club, just so you know, I'm going to put this exact screen cap. I'm going to put it in the Kennel Club so you can see it in there. So you don't have to make a note of it. But first one, you think this would be easy. Organize and keep track of your inventory.
No, you can't make me. You can't make me.
This has been, this fall, we started redoing some inventory and found what would you guess
Maybe a third of the items in the boxes,
are not listed
the
anymore?
listings fell away. And I blame Craig for pulling the listings
I
without
don't
telling me he's pulling listings.
I
And
don't
he says,
remember.
no, it's eBay. eBay
I
is
don't know
dropping the
why. And
listing.
well, again, I've heard that
Yes.
sometimes things get dropped off at eBay
Maybe I go in and delete things just to
just to
fuck with you.
just to get on my nerve.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
I have so much fun.
I would not put that past you.
Now, why would I do that? Why
Just
would
for
I
the reason you
sabotage?
said.
No, I don't do that. I don't do
Just
that anymore.
just to fight with you. But no, this is one of the things that we found. So we have a huge. We have like again 1,000 items that are listed. So there's a couple of areas that those 1,000 items are listed, and well, yeah, okay, well, blame Doug then. If Susan can blame the cat, then you could blame Doug. Carl's unlisted inventory is organized in big. Well, no, unlisted is different. I'm just talking about your listed inventory, really.
Well, no, we're talking about what's in the inventory boxes versus what's listed.
Yeah,
or not.
We're talking about the inventory that we've said we have listed, not profit piles. Sandy did inventory on Saturday. 5 items that I had ended but not pulled. One I on the wrong bid. You did. Oh yeah, you did okay. We had 5 items in one box that did not show up anywhere.
And I spent 3 days looking for a tiny little paper item that was one box over from where it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it moved from box A to box B. Like I said, eBay removed a lot of mine over time. And that's what I think some of this, because some of the stuff I'm sure has been up for years. See, Greg said it too. Things disappear.
Yeah, I suspect it's likely things that were either stale or didn't comply with all of the listings, the item specifics, the required versus the suggested. So
yeah, now Tina, I know that's not drafts, but it's real inventory. Now, the nice thing about doing something like this is we're going to do it again. We're going to start tomorrow, but we're going to do it in a simpler way this year than we've done in the past. I'm just going to try and see if we can stick to this. I don't know whether we will or not, but it'll be one box, and we'll go through that one box. And every day for 5 out of 7 days, we will go through a box, just a single box. Those boxes can have anything from
all the single boxes.
And what we did find when we went through a couple of these boxes, I literally was able to throw out a number of items and then reevaluate items that whether we should relist them again. Because there were other things that it's like, oh, this really should be relisted. Why isn't this listed? Let's relist it. So it gave us an impetus to try and put stuff back up. And it gave us a way to also clear stuff out. So I ended up getting donate boxes. We put some stuff into Max Sold. We're not sure what we're doing with Max Sold this year because we're talking to them a little later on this month, but they're looking at changing up all of their fee structures. So we got to have a discussion with them actually in the next week or two about that, because their fee structures are growing for sellers, and that if they do, we will not be using Max Sold any longer. So we'll let you know about that a little.
They also jumped on the AI bandwagon.
Yeah. So inventory is one thing, going through it and clearing stuff out. And again, clear that stuff out that's been taking up space. You just don't need it sitting around or anything like that. Now, this was the part 2. Try to make dents in your profit pile before adding to it. But if you can't, hold back because you got to shop. Try to list when you buy something new. So set aside a time a week to list at 50% of your new bid purchase or your new purchases. Now, what I mean by that is literally today, I'm going to actually show you a couple of things. Today, I bought 3 things. They will be listed tomorrow. And I'm not allowing myself to go thrifting until those items are listed. So that's the goal now for us. We're trying to set that goal as of January is you can't thrift again till you list it all. And see, Doug says the same thing. Doug's saying, yes, you can't thrift again till you list it all. Now, not list all your profit pile. I'm just saying if you go shopping, then I want you to try to list that stuff and not just put it aside and put it aside and put it aside. Lisa says she's going to try and follow that as well.
Wasn't that the Liffey last in, first out?
I don't know.
Carl's last in, first out.
No, actually, Carl, I don't know if it's going to affect. I just know that as sellers, it could affect a lot of sellers. So I'll let you know more about that. We do have high bid and iCollector. I just don't look at those very well. Michael says that is critical. We hope you can't get over. That does get you overwhelmed. Let's thrift again. Not like summer, yeah, but and Elisa, she's been getting rid of stuff from her rental garage. Hasn't purchased anything since November. Been solely working off the profit pile since spring. That's really good, though. To get rid of that profit pile. We're trying to work through that. We just moved from we sized down in our storage locker. So we moved into a new storage locker that's smaller as well. So we are sizing down. Our last time we did a max sold, we actually tried clothing. We sold some clothing in that, a couple of $100 worth of clothing that we thought, oh, this is pretty good. We don't maybe have to do it. So I'm hoping the max sold stays. We may start trying high bid or iCollector here if we have to do that. But yeah, today I bought these 3 things and I will list them by tomorrow. So I don't thrift again till you list last purchase. Number 3, be more critical of what you buy and list. Don't spend times on things that make you very little money or take a long time to sell. Now, I know that's a tough one to take a long time to sell. And so, but I think when we're saying be very critical it's a different, we're looking at things differently now. Rick mentioned it a little earlier. We're trying to raise the
average selling
price of what we've got so that we're selling, it may be less things, but they're higher priced. So I'm passing by things that I know I picked up probably even 6 months or more ago that I would have picked up and said, oh, this is from the Baggy Wall, and that's got a good doll in it, and it's $4.99. So I'm going to pick it up for that doll, except I don't get to sell that doll now for really more than $12. And the other things that were in that bag. So now all of a sudden it's a $5 or $6 sort of return without fees, without considering time. And again, this is the one thing that nobody does. We're kind of terrible at it, but we're trying more and more. The time you put into listing, the time you put into thrifting, the time you put into packing, that's all time you need to be accounting for. So you want to try and make sure you're putting in a little less time to get a little more money. Now, if something takes really long time to sell, that's where you also have to consider, wait a second. Now, we did sell stuff that we had listed for 3 years. All of a sudden it sold. But the thing was, it was a $9 or a $10 item. So it didn't really matter.
But eBay didn't delist.
We just kept it up. But that's not saying that you can't sell lower priced $9 and $10 items. But actually, if you kind of take an earlier look at point number 5, adjust for new shipping prices, shipping keeps going up. And when shipping goes up, then that starts putting the pressure on what you can sell something for. It's harder and harder to try and ask someone for $6 and $7 and $8 and $9 and $10 and $12 in shipping for an item that's $9. Like, it's getting really difficult. Unless it's something that somebody really needs, or you can send it without tracking within Canada, like kind of thing, if it's a pair of shoelaces. But I tell you, those shoelaces that we sell, those Doc Martin shoelaces, you remember we bought, 3 bags of them a couple of years ago. They were our third highest sales of last year. We sold over $300 worth of shoelaces alone at $10 a shoelace. I think it was actually it was $500 in shoelaces from the 3 different sizes that we had. So, but I don't know. We don't have a cent in those right now. So the fact that they're listed and they sell for $12 or $10 is not a big deal.
Well, the other thing is they're very easy to pull, pack, and ship. And in terms of shipping, because it goes ground advantage, it's usually no more than $5 going from New York State to California. I think it was $7 to Hawaii, but
yeah, and
you
if we
don't
send
really
them
have
in
money in
Canada,
it, so
we
pick
don't
and
send
go.
them tracked. We just throw them in an envelope, like a birthday card. I know you're not supposed to do that, but we do. Jennifer has the right idea. Sales are down 9%, but the average dollar amount was up by 18%. Yeah, that's the goal. That's the real goal. Sandy's goal was to be more consistent. In 25, your goal is to raise the average selling price. So that's a really strong one. Elisa, when I go to the thrift, I've become super duper critical about anything I see. I'll put it in your cart and put most things back, even if it's a personal purchase. Yeah, I think Canada can go as a letter. That's true. It's the U.S. You can't do that.
When Craig and I go shopping together, we usually meet at the back of the store and then go through the things in our cart and ultimately wind up putting back almost everything I pick.
Well, no. We had the show of Reluctant, and you find some really good.
I do find some really good things,
yeah.
But as a rule, I grab things that Craig might have already looked up.
Yes, that is true. I have passed them already.
Yeah, at least once every thrifting trip, I will have something in my cart to show Craig, and he will already have done the research.
I say that was for $3.
Yep.
Learn to cross list. Number 4, learn to cross list on more platforms. The more you list, the more places, the more chances to sell. And again, we proved that to ourselves using cross list magic this year. And I reiterate that constantly because I never know, not necessarily for those of you who are watching live, because we got a really great consistent group of you who watch live, but for those who watch after the show, it's one of the things that I don't know how many, the hundreds of people who watch these shows after. It's a big thing to make sure people know that cross listing can really help you. And then again, 5, adjust for shipping prices. And then 6, keep the F for fun and thrifting. It's a business, but it's not a business. If it's not a business you love to do, it can become one you can hate. So keep it fun and positive, and try not to
like it, or it's not worthwhile.
Yeah, and try not to sweat the small stuff.
Well, the other thing that in my mind is, the research thing. I know we're not supposed to go down rabbit holes, but sometimes things are really interesting, and you can find information that was just interesting for the sake of being interesting, and it may not provide any value monetarily, but it's something that I quite enjoy, is finding more information with that. The cube sculptures, for example. I sent emails to probably 15 different library archives and gallery archives and, the National Archives in Ottawa, asking for information about the artists that could have done it. And I'm getting back some really, really good information that will ultimately, hopefully, lead to a better listing price, or, maybe we find it's not by the artist I think it's by, and it's worth what somebody would pay for it.
Yeah, I do like learning about stuff. Research is half the fun. Yes, it is. It is fun. But again, it's like, that's why I've spent too much time on this already. I don't know what it's worth. I'll probably put it for listing somewhere when I figure out the category for like $19, and then it's out of my hair.
No, I'm going to put it on Etsy for $60.
Yeah, he'll do that on 60. I don't know what he'll call it there either, or what category it'll go under, but we'll use crossless magic for it.
It's a fishing line for ice fishing.
Next, we're going to talk about in the next 20 minutes, because I promise I won't go over an hour anymore, is things to think about for 2025 for you guys and what we're listing. So and some of these may sound somewhat familiar, but I just kind of want to reiterate about them because they literally are the things that are good and bad for us. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you see something that's still in a package, whatever it is, a toy, a blender, pantyhose, anything that you see that's still inside a package, I want you to make sure that you actually take a look at what it is and whether you should actually be grabbing it to list. So when you see something that's in a box, open that box. Okay, so a perfect example. Last week, I didn't buy it because it didn't work. Last week, I actually found a Revitive foot pedal, foot massager. Now, those things list at Shoppers Drug Mart for like 190 to 250 bucks. And it almost looked brand new. And it was at a thrift store for $12. And I would have had 30% off. So it would have been like an $8 buy for $170, $200 item. And it's because the box was there that I actually opened it up. And I took it and plugged it in and I couldn't get it to work. If I could get it to work, I would have grabbed that. But what got my eye was a box. I went, there's a box. There's a box. Now I'm going to show you a little video on something today, because this is a perfect example of me catching my eye. And I'm going to see if you can see this. Let me just pop this up here and I will take this back. There we go. So I went to, this is behind the counter at the local Value Village, by one of them by me. And I saw all of these, and it's all a bunch of Lego bags, right? So you can see all those bags filled with Lego. There you go. You see all those bags filled with Lego. Well, first thing I noticed on the bottom was there were some Star Wars banks, but they were, I don't know, it's going in and out of focus, sorry. Those Star Wars banks on the bottom, they wanted $40 for them. I happened to know that that was too much money. But then I looked and I went, what is that? What's that in a package? What is homie hoppers? So if anybody remembers, I've actually talked once about these before. This is a silly looking character called homies. And homies are these, there's no other way to describe them. They are like homeboys. They're rubber, plastic homeboys. That's all they are. They're all these little homeboys. Little homies. Yeah, homies. Little homies. See, now these were vending machine PVC figures, and I've actually found bags of those. I love finding those too, and they actually can be really good for resale. So what caught my eye, obviously, on that thing was I saw this. I saw the homies. So what I did was did a quick lookup, and when I went to look up that, I thought, here we go. Actually, sorry, where am I? Let me do this first. So I actually grabbed this, and this is it. This is what it was. It is homie hoppers. It's an actual radio control car. Full function radio control car. And then you can see the homies right there. The clown homie and the DJ. I think he's got a little spinning thing in front of him, or no. And a car. Now the car is loose inside. I don't know why. And it was $19.99. And then there is another one. And this one, that paper's, I put that paper in the wrong place. So again, it's just a lowrider car. There's the DJ guy right there. $19.99. So these cost $14. And you think, well, why would anybody want to pay that? And again, what caught me? The box. And if I look that up, I will, there we go. That's the page I was looking for. Take a look at this. Homie hoppers. Sold homie hoppers. 200. That's the one I just showed you. This is the one I just showed you. And it sold for There's the price showing up on there. It sold for $279. Now, I know what homies were, but what got me on this was actually seeing the box. Now, they can run from $150 to $200, $250. So I spent $15 on something. I spent a little more, but I'm going to be listing them for at least $150. I probably will auction them both at $150 or $199 each.
Well, the one that you just showed was an auction that had one bid.
Yeah.
So.
I have to look up the exact ones that I have, just to make sure. Like some of them go for a little less. There's one there for $99. There's one there that looked like one of the other ones that had 7 bids for $115. That is the actually other one. That's the other one that I had right there for $115. So I might start them at $99. But again, that's one of the things that we're looking at. And I'm trying to think this year is I'm trying not to necessarily be greedy. I'm trying to flip the item.
What?
I want to get the item gone.
That's one of the debates we've had consistently the last quarter.
And it's worked well for us. So instead of trying to put this at $279, now this is my structure on that. I'm going to look at these and go, I spent $15. If I can sell this for $150, I'm going to do that and flip it versus having it sit for $279 and be there for a long time. I want the money.
Yeah.
Lisa says, I'm kind of a slow. See, if it doesn't go up by auction, I might slow down it, but I don't know. I prefer, right, that this is the goal. I'm trying to flip the item. I'm not trying to hold on to things for 2 and 3 years. So
that is one of the discussions that Craig and I have had is we want to try to make sure that any new inventory we bring in isn't going to be sitting around 3 years from now.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, so that's the good thing. I want you to watch out for things that are in boxes. I want you to think of anything. And it doesn't matter if you know what they are. So I know a lot of you don't know what a homie is. But if you'd look at the back, I want you to go and look at that. Take a closer look at it. Look it up. Carl it and see. Like I did a quick Carl thing on it and saw that it was listing. A loose one was $95. So I just went, I'm taking them. I didn't do any further research. I just said, I'm taking them. So that's the thing I thought about. Now, the thing that you do also want to think about sometimes, though, is that size matters.
You got it.
And this is actually something that we hadn't thought that much about, but ended up having to think a lot about last week. Right, Rick?
Yes. And that's where this thing comes in. This is actually a wig that Target produced. It was made by Chris March, who was on Project Runway.
I've worn it before.
Isn't it fabulous? I cannot see a thing.
Popular. You're going to be popular.
Yes, I'm very popular. So this thing, the box, it's very light. It's like less than 2 pounds in the box that weighed 1.5 pounds. And what happened was it sold. And of course,
I put $25 shipping on this.
And of course, when we priced the shipping at $25, it was when the item was listed at over $100. Yeah. So we were intending to subsidize shipping.
Except I put the item on sale for 50% off.
So Craig sold it for $52.99. And the shipping cost was $25. And it was going to California. So I packed it up in the box. It was like 26 by 18 by 14, which made the shipping astronomical. The cheapest shipping I could find was actually FedEx Home on eBay, and it was $38 and change. Add to that the $3 or $4 for DYK, because we can't use other cross-border shippers for FedEx. I don't know whether Stallion is still doing it, but Stallion's cost for a box that size is $5. So $40 in shipping costs from the 25 that Craig charged. So after fees, I think we would have made what, $10?
Yeah. And the thing was, these are wigs that I had that I used for shows from here, wherever I wore on Halloween. We've had them for 5 years. I saw some people listing and selling these for $100. So we listed them before Halloween. We listed them back in October or September, August, September. We did sell one at $75, but it was actually a smaller wig than that.
And so, it was closer. It went to, I believe, Ohio.
Yeah, it went closer. So, of course, this one went, and I dropped the price. So, actually, and I had to cancel the order. So, I've already taken my first hit for 2025 to cancel the order. So,
yeah, Elisa makes a good point about FedEx Home. Quite often when you're sending with FedEx or UPS, they will apply charges after you've shipped the item. So whenever you're packing boxes and shipping using those carriers, make sure that you add an inch to every dimension and keep track of the actual size of the box, because you can challenge if they come back with a shipping overage charge.
So again, we're looking at things like that. We're trying to see what we're doing with stuff. We normally, larger things, we may put in a max solds, but we may, or a local auction of some kind. So we're thinking about that. So we're looking at all this stuff now and thinking, well, wait a second, shipping could cost a lot of money. So it better be something big.
Yeah, actually, if we had continued listing those, I would have suggested that we use calculated shipping and let the buyer decide if they want to pay for it.
Yeah, we have 3 left. So we ended them, but this particular one, actually, the glue is actually coming off as well. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to relist that one anyway. So they may be going on local Facebook marketplace for $20. Again, I had my $20 worth of use out of them. They only cost like $15.
I say we donate them to the senior center down at the bottom of the hill.
Okay, good. It hurts when we can't see the buyer. Where I know, and boy, believe me, Tina, I would love to tell some states that they can't buy from me, but I can't for now. So
no, we can't. Shrink wrapping, no. Vacuum packing would destroy it.
Yeah,
it's basically held in place by glue, and the glue.
Every one of those little things is glued onto a.
The glue is actually hardening and starting to separate in some places.
But anyway, there are other things you can look for. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things that we do want you to keep your eyes open for, and a couple of things we don't want you to keep your eyes open for. So number one, and this is actually strange because we actually just had this question in the Kennel Club about something, which is one of the first things I'm going to tell everybody here that they need to avoid for 2024, for 2025 is teacups. Now, there used to be really good money in teacups. There still can be limited good money in teacups, but I want you to take a look at this. Right now, there are over 1.3 million. That's 1.3 million listings for teacups on eBay right now. There are solds of 57,000. That is 3%. That is a terrible
sell-through rate. Sell-through
rate. That's a terrible number for 90 days to have, again, this clear, like 1.3 million listings. Now, again, what we want to say is, like, there are times when teacups could be good, and the teacups could be really good, and you have to do a couple of things with them. You have to test them properly. But we have some teacups that we have that are $40, $50, $60, $70 teacups. We've had them listed for a year and a half now, and we can't get anybody to bite on them at hardly any money.
Yeah, the truly rare ones sell quickly.
Yes, if it is truly rare, it does sell quickly. And one of the other things that I've seen too is at a couple of the thrift stores I've been to, I am seeing literally like row after row. One of my thrift stores that I go to all the time, I think the last time I was there, I counted 65 teacups. Like they're being donated now and donated and donated. So if you're going to look at them, one, it must ping. You have to make sure that it pings. And number two, you got to make sure that's a name or it's worthwhile buying. That's all. That's again, this is our opinion. So Lisa says she lists teacups and on Etsy and Pot. That's great. If you can list them and sell them, that's great. But I'm just saying, from our standpoint, no, we're not doing that. But Elisa said coffee mugs. Well, I'm actually going to go the opposite and say, I want you to keep your eyes open still for Starbucks mugs and Tim Hortons mugs if you're in Canada. There is still a big collecting group for Starbucks mugs. In fact, we just picked up one, a Wisconsin one, that at our thrift store literally last week, and it went. It's up on. We're just putting it on eBay right now. I think for $75. I've looked in our local Facebook group, and there's people who are advertising and showing like a picture like this and saying every one of these mugs is like $25 a piece, and they've got crosses through it saying sold, 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 sold. So they're selling them at 25. So it might be better for Facebook, but there are heavier. So you want to keep your eyes open on that. But I still think that in the Starbucks world, to give you an example, there's 260,000 Starbucks mugs that are listed at the moment. And of those 260,000 that are listed, 31,000, so over 10% of those have sold in the past. So it's 3 times the amount of sales sell-through that rate that teacups have. Now, Hydrant said, I have a couple. That's why I have a couple of vintage booths. I take large, heavy items and smalls or items which have condition issues and teacups. Some customers buy them in multiples for weddings and such. Yeah, actually, we heard a lot about this being a big thing for people to pick up for weddings. And there's like birthdays and events in the Asian community where they will give everybody a teacup who come to the party, and they take the teacups home with them. But I'm also seeing that those teacups are also being priced higher and higher and higher by thrift stores. So I'm starting to see teacups at $19.99 for a teacup that when you ping, it thunks. So there's a
or even worse, they're using tape to hold the teacup onto the saucer, and it pulls the gold edging or the gilt edging off.
Lisa, the Russian lady comes to local markets and buys hundreds. Yeah, and again, it's great if it works for you. I'm just saying, for us, no, teacups are off the table now. It's like a very quick look, and I will be doing a woof on how we look for teacups in the Kennel Club in the next couple of weeks as well. Jennifer says she still sells a large number of Starbucks mugs for great money. Yeah, Starbucks mugs are the exception. Yeah, that's true. I wish we could get a booth. We just don't have a booth. I know. I think it's the Wisconsin one that it was Wisconsin, wasn't it, Rick? Yeah, it's $75 on average.
Yep.
Another thing I just want you to, this is our goals for something that I want you to keep your eyes open for and keep your eyes away from, and that's simply is stay away from Funko. Just for this year, stay away from Funko. It's starting to die. There are still hundreds of thousands of these things selling, but there are so many of them. 2 to 3/4, 75% of them sell for under $15 now, or under $25. So we're starting to see these show up a lot at the thrift stores. I'm starting to see them now. Every time I go into a thrift, there's 1 or 2 sitting in there. The only things that have any good money on them, again, you got to look it up, and it has to be a pristine box. So it really doesn't usually become a thrift store item. The one thing you can spot in a thrift store a little easier, though, is Bratz dolls. Next year is actually the 25th anniversary of Bratz dolls. And if you're looking at toys, you can spot those lips a mile away. So I want you to keep your eyes open for Bratz dolls, because there is a really good market coming up for this. And again, now that it's at 25 years, there's sort of a really big sort of resurgence in this. Often behind the glass in thrift stores. Oh, the Funkos for you. So again, it's just a couple of things that you should keep your eyes open for. There is actually, if you do decide to look at brats, just as an FYI, and this is actually in our research deck, there is a new thing called Lookin' Brats, and it actually is a great database for everything brats, and it's LOOKINBRATZ. So and it gives you a lot of information. Lookin' Brats. So keep your eyes open on that. So we've hit the hour, and I promised I wouldn't be going like 15, 20 minutes over on these shows any longer. So again, thank you so much for coming to us here today to see what our reselling sort of ideas are for the end of the year, our ReSell-utions. Yeah, we've got a bunch of those we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing them on Whatnot too. So hopefully the 9 o'clock worked great for everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, so every other week now. So 2 weeks we'll be back with a Thrift It or Throw It for the regular group. The Kennel Club, watch out in the Facebook group and on the YouTube community for a couple of updated things. The research deck is being updated. There will be a thing next week that we're putting together that's specifically on Bakelite. And we're also going to do one for how we search for teacups. And those will be, at least for the shorter term, they're going to be exclusive to the Kennel Club. So thanks to everybody who supports us there in the Kennel Club and everybody who joined us here on Tuesday for our first show of 2025. Hopefully you'll have a great 2025 in sales. Keep pushing away at that stuff. Stay away from that giant things, the big things that cost $50 to ship, or at least don't mark them down so far that your husband says, why the hell did you do that? Don't take stuff out of inventory, hiding it on your husband so that he says, wait a minute, or even hiding it on yourself. Hopefully you'll have a good, strong 2024. January is usually a pretty good month. We've been selling really well over the past weekend. Like I think we shipped 18 things this weekend, didn't we, Rick? Something like that. So big and little over the weekend, and some were fabulous. We'll talk about those more in both Craft and the Kennel Club. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you soon in the Two Dogs Digs world. Woof.